learning about the kids, we weren't really prying into them to find out about their lives. We had a lesson we wanted to do with them, we had things we wanted to do, and so did they, and we got those things done, and that was it. We weren't prying into their lives, they weren't prying into ours. When they wanted to talk to us, we would talk to them, and that's how it was. It was just a great friendship and learning opportunity for both of us. I'd say how to teach a lesson. Megan and I always had two different ways that we wanted to do something. So where Megan wanted to have something for the kids to read, write, and learn, I would want to be the one that wanted to spark the dialogue and discussion. So for example, one day we did an organic food project, and Megan had this whole thing written on the board with different food prices of organic food, non-organic food, and the kids got a lot of lessons. They learned the differences in prices, which was awesome. But what I wanted to do is I just wanted to have a dialogue with them to see what they knew about organic food, maybe the differences. And we had only a group of maybe 3 or 4 kids that day, and they were really talking back and forth to us about what they knew and what we knew. And I'm not a pro at organic foods, I don't really know anything, but me just asking like, oh guys, what could be the differences? What might an organic farmer do that a non-organic farmer might do? And they were giving great dialogue back and forth, and I thought to myself, like, everything they're saying is what I've heard. I haven't really researched it, but what they're saying, what I also know, and it was really great, just having a little dialogue like that with them. They know a lot more than what you would think and what a lot of people would perceive.
And so then what we learned about others, meaning the kids there.
Right, like I just said, students have untapped skills and intellect. A lot of smart kids in our group, especially in our greenhouse group, a lot of highly intellectual kids. One girl, Malika, we were talking to her about what she might want to do, going toward college. We were having discussions about stuff like that. Another student, Jesus, like I just said, great dialogue about stuff like organic farming and whatnot. Very much into what we were doing. We had bought this little tool that like measured the moisture in the soil and the sunlight. And the first day we had that, he was taking it around, going around checking every single one. Even though we didn't have the list of how the soil should be for each plant, he still wanted to go and check each plant. So they really took what we were doing seriously, because Megan and I were taking it seriously, and University was taking it seriously, which is great. Students' interests are limited to a few hobbies. This is something I personally thought, but a lot of the kids, when I asked them like what they want to do, who they wanted to be, a lot of them would say like basketball players and rappers. And maybe that would seem strange, but when you were a kid, did you ever expect yourself to be want to be a teacher or a microbiologist? No, you had the highest dream possible. So is it an issue? Probably not, because when you were a kid, you had those crazy dreams too. Like, I wanted to be a baseball player, It was a far-fetched dream, maybe just like being a rapper. So it's an issue, but it's not an issue. I think things like just giving them more hobbies like we're doing now, introducing them to professional role models, like using maybe even the president as an example, things like that. That's where I think going from here, like that's what they can really use to make them, maybe make them more excited about, college in the future.
And some things that I saw, I heard the kids, like in one of the first weeks that we were there, they did an activity where they went around the room and said who influenced them the most, and a lot of them were saying their moms or grandparents or something, and so someone eventually said something like, a lot of you guys are saying your moms, and some of them were like, well yeah, it's because I don't have a dad. And so it was interesting to see that side. Like, we're not really used to that. I'm not used to that. I have my mom and dad. Some of them don't even know their parents, and it was just interesting to see the different cultural, in like an urban setting that I'd never been in before. And then some of them, it was kind of shocking to see that they couldn't really spell or read very well. And one of the times that we were in the room, the industrial arts room, I had a packet of seeds, and I wanted one of the girls to read the back to see if there are any directions specific to that type of seed, like what we should do with it. And she kind of looked at it, and she was like, I can't really read very well, and she gave it back to me. And I was just like, oh, sorry, it's something maybe I should have thought about before I had said something like that. And then in one of the, in the beginning hour when we first go in there, one of the kids, just this last time we were there, they were writing down their names, and then writing, like, next to the first letter, they were writing down what something that they like to do, something that they're good at after it. And a lot of them were asking, like, how do you spell this? How do you spell this? Or they have to do it completely over because they cross it out too many times. And then they really love responsibility. They really liked having to do the plants. As you said before, like, we liked the responsibility, but they really did too. They kept coming back. It was the same kids almost every single week, maybe 1 or 2 extra that came, but they all kind of stuck together, and they came in and knew exactly what they wanted to do. We gave them the options if you wanted to replant or if you wanted to pot some, like if you wanted to make some new seeds, put them in their soil, or if you wanted to do some other activity, maybe on the computers that we had in there. But they all definitely chose what they wanted to do. And then they definitely liked the soil. I mean, they really loved repotting the plants. One time I gave them the option between repotting and maybe something you really didn't, I don't really know what it was, but you had to do something not with your hands, and they all were like, I want to repot that. So, I mean, that was really cool too. And this picture was just something that they do, I think it's on Tuesdays, they do airbrushing in another room. It was one of the other options, kind of like our greenhouse is an option. This was an option, so they put this in the room. It was really cool because just one of the kids did it, so it kind of goes back to what Mike said about they really have a lot of skills that maybe we don't know about. So. And
A lot of cool artwork around the room.
yeah, they had lots of cool stuff. They had a lot of gardening things. They had a whole wall, like a board that had all these things about the different parts of a plant that some of the kids did too. So it's a really cool room now.
You should invite the class to the open house.
We should,
You
yeah,
tell them when it is.
It's at 2:15.
This Friday.
2:15 on Friday. Friday, April 26th, 2:15 to 4.
Yeah, definitely come out there if you got nothing to do. We can set you up with a seedling and get your own plant going.
Okay, good.
Does anybody have any questions for them? Can you tell me, sorry,
Sure.
what the plan is? I know Yaversh and I talked together about the plan for the summer and upkeep, but what's your understanding of how this greenhouse will be continued into the future, this summer and next year?
I think the last discussion I had with your version was that they're going to fix up the greenhouse probably toward the end of the school year. Was that something that they were going to do?
We've spoken about a possible grant that I'm applying for,
Right.
but we haven't really touched upon future plans. Besides, it will be taken care
Yeah.
of.
Right.
We know that it definitely will be taken. I mean,
And the room is completely sustainable, so plants will grow in there continuously.
Yeah.
There's plenty of light in there. It's a good spot, and it's locked, which is perfect. So if they need to stay in there into the summer months, it can happen like that. I'm just a little worried about the vegetables. They might need a little bit different care, but we'll cross that bridge when it comes.
Yeah, I think
We're getting to that bridge.
yeah, has plans to
So.
take care of it. So it's so exciting to see there's something that's going to be a permanent addition to this program that
Right.
can just continue to grow for the students as well as for the flowers and the vegetables.
Right, it's great to see. We had a lot of guidance from that last plan, but we kind of had to reset the whole thing because the room, we need to make a new place, we need to fix a new room. So it was a big project.
That was the second quick change for service learning projects in this class, and I think both of them ended up being, everyone dealt with that really well, and ended up being a good experience regardless.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. I'm so glad we did it.
I can see that. Good job.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.